Hey all, welcome to the TruGreen Environmental Week podcast. I'm Tim. Today we have Sean, the TruGreen Marketing Manager, and Steve Welch, the TruGreen Brand Manager. How are you both? You all right?
Hi, Tim. Yeah, very well. Yourself?
Not too bad, thank you. How are you, Sean?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Tim.
Good. So, Steve, just jumping straight with yourself, tell us a bit about your background in Lawncare, how you got into TruGreen, etc.
Yeah, no, I obviously I've been in the industry all my life. So I came into the industry straight from school as at that stage as an apprentice groundsman at Leicester City Football Club, and basically spent the next 30 years in the sports industry side of turf. At Leicester City, at Nottingham Forest, and at Wembley. And then obviously when that project at Wembley had been completed, I was back at home as it was at the time in Leicester, and I was sort of like approached then to ask about or approached for the role at TruGreen with regards to heading up the brand. Went and met with the MD of the time, and basically the rest is history. So I've been with TruGreen now for 12 years. So it's a great role to have. Obviously, it allows me to use all my experience in both the operational side of things, but all the business side, and business management side as well. Like, it's allowed me to use all of that, that I've accrued, you might say, over the years to bring all those experiences and allow me to support the network and drive the network forward and build the TruGreen name.
Fantastic.
Can you just tell me about a typical day in TruGreen, Steve, as the brand manager?
Oh, that could be very varied, Sean. Obviously, as I say, seeing, that I sit basically at the centre of the brand, as heading up the brand in the UK. So with regards to that, it could be everything from meetings relating to our CRM, supporting IT, supporting yourself in marketing, social, involved with accounting, and then all the technical and operational side of the business. So it's a very varied day. And while I'm very structured in the way I operate, you have to be very flexible because your day you might have one day planned, but it usually ends up being quite a variety of things happening, which takes you from one thing to the next, which is great. It's a great role to have.
Brilliant.
Perfect. Okay, so jumping into why we're here, so the TruGreen Environmental Week. Can you tell us why you're an advocate for natural lawns? So put aside your job role and your job title, on a personal level, why are you an advocate for natural lawns?
I don't believe that you can beat grass, in terms of like natural grass itself. Obviously, I've been in the industry all my life. It's something that, as I say, having left school, I started in the industry, went through all college, went through all the pros and cons of growing grass and the way of maintaining it and renovating it and everything, and I just believe that, the grass plant itself is a very stated plant. A lot of other plants probably get a lot more, storylines than grass does. But, grass itself, when you think about it, takes up large areas of all parts of the UK. And certainly with regards to a garden, it's the centre point of garden. So what's better than something that looks aesthetically pleasing, but is also helping the environment as we go along? Because I say, it plays a big part in putting oxygen out there into the atmosphere.
Why do you think that people choose to go plastic for their lawns?
I think some of it is that people see it as the easy option. They get an artificial lawn put down and they don't need to do anything to it. But, that's not true. I mean, artificial lawns still get weeds in them. You can't stop weed seeds landing on the lawn. You still get moss in them. So there's still certain jobs that need to be done. As I say, I think basically, it does come down to, it is the easy option. It's that you don't need to mow it. We don't need to spend that time doing that each weekend. But as I say, to people who are, passionate about their garden, I think that's something that, is seen as being actually something that people enjoy doing anyway. So, so that's really, as I see, main part of it, though. It's really down to people seeing it's the easy option, and probably takes time away from having to maintain the lawn and them doing other things. That's, I suppose, how some people see it.
Yeah.
Wrongly, in my opinion.
And how much better is a natural lawn for the environment?
Well, a natural lawn is totally better. You know, when all said and done, as I say, like the grass plant is an oxygen producing plant. But not only that, it takes away a lot of the bad. So, you know, the plant itself will absorb, you know, carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. It'll process that away, you know, and into the soil. You know, and at the end of the day, as I say, like through photosynthesis, which is obviously part of the respiratory action of the plant, it allows for oxygen to be put back into the atmosphere. So you have 250 square meters of artificial lawn. It puts nothing into the atmosphere. And if anything, it takes everything out the atmosphere. You know, if you think about, you know, we're encouraged not to use plastic bags wherever possible nowadays. So you spend 20, 50p on a plastic bag in the supermarket, but people will then put down effectively like 5,000 plastic bags in their back garden.
True.
Well, does that make sense? You know, that doesn't make any sense at all. So, as I say, you know, the actual natural grass plant really, as I say, puts a lot of good back into the atmosphere. It also allows for, you know, things that people don't even think about to be happening. You know, there's a lot of root structure in a lawn. You know, it can be multiple hundreds of miles of roots in a natural lawn. You know, and that in itself keeps the soil stable. So that when rain falls on top, it allows for water to be purified as it goes through the soil. You know, it really means that if you get some heavy rainfall, you're not going to get any erosion. You know, so there's lots of things that it benefits the natural against the artificial. And of course, the other thing that I very much see as being a major factor is that, you know, a natural lawn is self-cleansing. You know, we mow it every week. So in terms of that, it cleans itself through the process of growing. Artificials don't. Cool. Natural lawns, they're not abrasive. Artificials are. So in turn of that, you know, the kids can play on the natural lawn for their heart's content. Yeah, you might get some wear, but hey, that's where we step in and do any repairs that are needed. But actually, if you've got an artificial lawn, the kids could end up with skinned knees, skinned elbows, and, you know, again, from that you can get infections. So, you know, I think there's quite a very strong case for my natural v the artificial.
Yes.
On that then, what about the chemicals that we have to put down on natural lawns? Is there any effect to the environment through using those, or can that be avoided?
You can't avoid completely using some chemicals. I mean, obviously, you know, certain aspects of what we do, you know, an instance being weed killer, you know, we have to have some chemicals that we use as part of our treatments. However, over the years, we've now been, you know, working with our suppliers, and our suppliers have obviously worked with the manufacturers, and it's really the case of now the amount of chemicals putting down is probably only 2/3 of what it was previously. And that's still going to be looked at and continually developed to try and reduce that further. So while we still have to use chemicals, the amount of chemicals we're using today is far less than we used 10 years ago. And not only that, the amount of water that the chemical is mixed in terms of allowing for the control of the weeds in a weed killer instance is far less water we're using. So again, you know, we used to use perhaps over 100 square meters of lawn, 3 litres of water. Now we use 2 litres of water. So in terms of that, we are managing that side of our applications. You know, we can add to that. We have more organic fertilizers now. We have more fertilizers that have minerals in them that are mined from the UK. So in terms of that, they're not 100% all of them organics, but they are, some of them are, but some are what you call semi-organic. So we've very much got the environment in mind with regards to the products that we use and those that we choose as the recommendations to administer the treatments.
So taking that into consideration, what is the longevity of each lawn? So what's the pros and cons of going natural or plastic?
I mean, a natural lawn, to be honest with you, it's got, you know, a period of time. There is no end date to a natural lawn. Yes, it needs to be renovated. Yes, we need to do certain jobs to it each year. But a well-maintained lawn, natural lawn, will last you for 10, 20, 30 and beyond years, in terms of the actual longevity of it. Artificial, yes, it will wear. You will get decay on the lawn at some point. Again, as I say, like one of the things with the natural lawn is that because it's growing and because we're feeding it and because we're making it look emerald green and beautiful in its aesthetic appearance, that's always there. Plastic over a period of time dulls down. It loses some of its colour. So it might be a certain colour, and don't get me wrong, I'm again, like, it's quite wrong, I think, that some people say that some of these artificials nowadays look like natural grass. It doesn't.
No.
They always look, artificial as far as it goes. But the thing is that over a period of time, they'll lose colour, they will degenerate in terms of quality. And of course, when you do need to replace an artificial lawn, what do you have to do? You have to roll it up and put down some more artificial plastic. Yeah. So once you've taken it away, it has to go to landfill because it can't be recycled. So in turn of that, as I say, like, it goes back to what I've said previously, we're trying to move away from having plastic and using plastic, but actually some people are trying to encourage people to have plastic. Now with natural grass, that doesn't come into the equation. No. Everything we do, if we scarify a lawn, it's green waste. We take it away, even if we do an extra amount of cultivation to a lawn surface, it still goes back to be recycled. Right. Even if it's got soil there, it can be soils can go back and be recycled. So everything that we do within our work as a natural supplier of lawns is allowing us to recycle everything, manage it in a green waste way, and really, very little would we have to throw away. And it's even nowadays, with all the products we use, the suppliers are even working now on recyclable bags for fertilizer and grass seed and everything else that we use. So, as I say, natural grass will last a lot longer if maintained well.
And what advice would you give to someone that's probably feeling a little stuck between picking which way to go in terms of plastic or not?
I think from what I've already said, I don't think there's a choice to make, to be honest with you. I think, I say, every lawn, what's at the centre of most gardens? A lawn. So in turn of that, what is more pleasing on the eye than being able to sit on the patio on a nice summer's afternoon with a beautifully striped lawn in front of you, with all the other parts of the garden, with your borders and shrubbery and everything else that you might have around there. It really is the centerpiece of a garden. So, as I say, in turn of it being able to give you that pleasure you want when you're at home, I think natural grass far outweighs anything that is artificial, because in my view, artificial lawns are no different than having plastic leaves on trees. Would you want a plastic tree?
Not really, no.
Exactly, because when it comes down to it, what do people like about trees? They like the fact that they put buds on, they grow leaves, they then go into their autumn colour, they then lose their leaf, and they go through that cycle again. That's basically what we do with a natural lawn. We might remove any moss at the start of the year. We might need to get rid of a few weeds. We then make that lawn beautiful, lush green grass, no weeds all the way through the year. And then, we'll do aeration and various other, treatments to maintain that quality. And then the following year, we do the same again. So maintaining a lawn is no different than a tree going through its cycle. We're just doing it in we have to help the grass plant. It can't, clear itself of thatch and moss, etc. So we help it, but the cycle is still the same. It's still a horticultural cycle that we go through each year, and that allows us to maintain the quality of the lawns that we have. So, as I say, in my mind, there isn't even a coin to toss, in turn of like that. There isn't a heads and tails on which it is. The simple fact is it's a double-headed coin. It's natural grass all the time.
Yeah. Definitely. So, Steve, as our resident lawn care expert, where would you say the best times of year are to do certain treatments on the lawns?
I think with treatments, they can be split into a number of categories, you might say. But if we start to think about scarification and aeration, so scarification effectively can be completed any time in the period from March through to October. So in other words, we really want to be doing scarification during the period of the year when the grasses are growing.
Yeah.
The reason for that is that when you scarify, you take out a lot of debris, moss, thatch, all the bad that we want to take out of the actual lawn itself. And of course, that effectively gives the lawn, both put it in sort of like, basic terms, a headache, quite a serious headache. So you end up with like lots of bare areas, you end up with patches on the lawn that need to re-grass. Now, in turn of that, a lot of that the grasses will regenerate. But again, we want to look to do the scarification during the period where we're going to get the better regeneration of the grasses. Also, if we do have any bare areas that we need to oversow with grass seed, it also allows us the best option in time of the year to allow for good germination and good grass establishment.
Right.
Because the benefits of scarification are that we take out the bad and we add the good. So in this instance, we take out moss, we take out thatch, we put in fresh grass seed, let the grasses are strong regenerate. So we end up with a grass cover, which is a nice dense grass coverage, which looks good, but also stops weed seeds getting down into it and also stops further moss infestation getting into it. Yeah. Now, from our point of view, as TruGreen, with dealing with the domestic market, the majority of that scarification will be done in the spring and the autumn. The reasons for that is that if we do it in the spring, the lawn's recovered in time for the customer to use the lawn during the summer. And if we haven't done that work in the spring, we can do that work in the autumn. And by the autumn, I'm talking about early autumn, so August, September. So by the time we've done that work, then it still gives the lawn enough time to germinate fresh grass seed if needed, establish the grass, regenerate the grasses to allow us to have a good grass coverage before the winter months come in. So scarification, as I say, is across March to October, but generally in our market, the domestic market, it tends to be spring and it tends to be autumn. Aeration should be carried out at any time of the year. Ideally, I would always say, all grassed areas will benefit from being aerated twice a year.
Okay.
So again, we would look to aerate in the early part of the year. So you're coming out of winter and we've had rain, frost, snow, you'll get some compaction within the soil. Now, to get healthy lawns, you need to be able to get the air and the moisture and the nutrients from the fertilizer down to the roots, because everything goes in via the roots. So by that, it allows for a good balance of air and moisture in the soil, which allows for a good, healthy grass plant. So if we do it in the spring, we can get the plant really healthy and growing, at its strongest, and a really vibrant, healthy plant during the summer months. And then we look to aerate in the autumn. And in the autumn time, you can aerate really right into times like we are now, November. There is no problems with doing that with aeration. Because again, what we're looking for in the autumn is to try and improve drainage, to try and make sure there's no moisture that's going to be held within the lawn surface. So again, aeration can be effectively completed at any time in the year. The only two times you wouldn't really aerate are when the ground's very hard. That's either during drought or frost conditions, or if the ground was waterlogged. But outside of that, really aeration could be completed at any stage. So the two mechanical treatments we complete are very, very vital to the lawn in terms of freshening up the lawn surface through scarification and then helping the actual quality of the grasses we have on the lawn through the aeration.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for joining us on Environmental Week, and we'll see you next year for it. But continue to follow us on all social media and YouTube and see lots more content coming throughout the year.
Thank you.
Cheers all. Bye-bye.